better, got this, I better get my engagement ring, I better have all this and that and the third, because these things are very important because it sets you up. You understand? So it is very important that, we set goals, so in relationship, it is the same context. If you like said, okay, you want to have a relationship to be married or, or start a family or whatever the case is. So each of them has a series of sets, of goals that you need to mark yourself by. So question is like, what are some of the goals that you have for yourself? Stop. Now, when we say vision, before we can even get to that destination, my question to some of you guys, I hope some of you guys taking notes because that's very important. I want you guys to really ask yourself that. What is your vision? Because often when I sit down, if I'm talking to somebody, whether it is a young woman or young man, the thing that they really start talking about to me is like they start talking to me concerning about wedding. And I'm like, it's beautiful, but the wedding, it's not the marriage. Because the thing is that the problem is that the wedding, it's basically in the process, it's another goal in the marriage process. Because the thing is that people will definitely spend almost most of the entire life earning from the time they were like, they start working and stuff like that. They put the money aside. I've seen people spend like $100,000 in the wedding. Whoa, that's beautiful wedding and everything is good and stuff. And then 6 months later, you got the phone call like, hey, Jerry, what's up? Hey, what's going on, man? Listen, man, you think I can borrow 200? What? Borrow 200? You just had $100,000 wedding. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's why she went. It's like sometimes we don't think beyond that, and this is why it's very important to set your goals, and your goals got to be set straight. Because first of all, if you don't finalize your vision, your final destination, if your destination is to have a successful marriage, then you cannot look at the wedding be the end point. Because if you, in reality, it's the beginning point. Everything prior to that is the preparation to start your marriage. Because if you jump in at the at the beginning and you end everything, so then you have no other plans. You have no plans for family, no plans for children, no plans for where you're gonna live, no plans. It's like and I'm like, that's like, I won't call it insanity, because we've seen it often. We've seen it because whether it's like we're watching television, we've seen people, they just like pushing for, like, they want to have a wedding, all these things about wedding they talk about in all these visions of their wedding day. But I've never seen somebody talk about like how they envision their marriage, their family, their children, their wife, and the things, those things that they're going ought to do in their marriage life. I don't see that. And this is why it's very important to understand your final destination point. Because by knowing your final destination point, then we can start with the end in mind. What does that mean, starting with the end in mind? Because the thing is that when you start setting goals, your goals, guys, I'm sorry, you guys know me. I apologize. Don't ever start your goal starting from where you at and trying to work towards that end point. The reason why you don't do that, it's because it's that if you start doing like that, it's like what happens is that things gonna take place in between it. And then where your end goal is, it's not really marked down, very set. Because when you work backward to it, it's example. If I'm saying that I want to, okay, if I said that, okay, in 2 years, I want to make sure that I start a new job. So 2 years, I start a new job. So then I said, okay, I have to work backward, meaning that, okay, 6 months prior, I have to make sure that I've either got an interview in 6 months before I start a new job, or I'm already working with an agent or somebody that can help me get an interview within that 6 months period. And then 6 months from that, which is a year from that, or 3 months, whatever, I said that I want to make sure that, whatever requirement is necessary for that career, it's already accomplished. What does that mean? Meaning that, listen, I'm switching major. Let's just say you were somebody that you work in a particular field, you go into another, you might need another training, another 6 months training. So you got to make sure that these things are covered under your belt so that by the time you get there, you are prepared for the opportunity when it comes. So this is why we said that If you're not going to write down your goals, your visions, anything, then it is worthless to even thinking about a relationship. I'm serious. I know you guys saying like, it's a relationship. What's there to write down? Why do I need to write anything down? Because the thing is that it's very important. Because, you know, the thing about I learned about life is that your memory, sometimes, you know, your memory is like you can think of something that's very powerful and you start doing something else and you're trying to recall whatever you were thinking about, you forget about it. I know some of you guys are going to say, now when it comes to my man, trust me, you're going to forget some important factors. Because when you get there, you get googly eyes. He said, oh my God, you saw the flowers? And you forget everything that you set in mind, because the point is that you want to make sure you still stand straight on your gun of where you want to go. You know, because let's just say like, okay, we're dating 3 years, you know what I'm saying? Example, don't mark me and write it down. So Jerry said, please. I'm just giving an example. Let's just say in your plan, you say that, listen, if we're together and it's like we're together 3-4 years, okay, 3 years, I give him, I'm sorry, I apologize. I give him an end mark, a deadline of like 4 years. If 4 years is not ready to propose, he's wasting my time, because I'm not going to sit there, give him another 6 years, 10 years, and then he tell me, I'm sorry, I find the woman of my dream. Then what was I? The whole time I was with you, what was that? Why, you were just trying me out just to see how to learn on how to do a relationship? You know what I'm saying? So it's very important that you yourself, you have your goal set straight, you know, and then you make sure that you are working towards it. So then the other thing I said, that those 3 levels to a vision is very important. The reason why I say you have to write it down, because it is like when you, okay, example, if I'm going to build a house, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that I have a vision of the house I want to build. You know, I can say, okay, I want the house to look like this. I want the house to be like this. I want the house to be like that. And then I just tell an architect, I just start building the house for me. I know it right here. In the process of building it, then realize that there was a mistake that I didn't think about. It will cost me more to fix it if I wrote it down in the first place. Then when I write it down and somebody will sit down, analyze it and say, you know what? You didn't add this piece to it. So do you still want to add it? Because if you don't, it's going to be very impossible for you to accomplish the end goal. It's kind of like, you know, you want to get somewhere and you say, okay, I want to lose weight. I want to lose 20 pounds. So that means I have to go to the gym every single day for like an hour. But then if I'm trying to do that and I'm not counting how much things I'm eating every day, I'm working against myself. Because if I say my end goal is to lose like 20 pounds by the end of the year, but I'm still eating at 10 o'clock, 11, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm waking up, I'm grubbing, then you see, this got to be part of your plan. Write it down. What does it take for you to really do all that? And the last and not least is action. Don't talk about it, but be about it. Take your action so that you can get all these things that you want to do in your relationship to get accomplished. You see, because can I do these things? First and foremost, write down the vision. You see, because according to like Habakkuk 2:2, the Lord told them to write the vision down and make it plain. Write it down. Don't make it complex for yourself. Because sometimes we want to get all extra and write things that we're going to talk about it, but you're going to ask yourself, is that really important in a relationship, even in a marriage? It may sound good, but is it real? You know, because the thing about your goals, they got to be smart goals. But for the purpose of time, we're not going to really touch base on how to set a smart goals. But like I said, if you guys want to see me, I can help you out. But work backwards. And as you do so, identify short-term and long-term goals. In a relationship, what is your short-term goals? What is your long-term goals? Because if you said that, okay, let's just say that most of you guys probably like in your early 20s, whatnot. You say you want to get married in the next 4 or 5 years. What are the things that you see that you need to, you see, that's the thing. When you're setting goals, don't take all the responsibility and place it on the other person. Don't put everything on that person to come and be ready for marriage, and you yourself, you're not ready. Because remember, he himself likewise, or she herself likewise, they're looking towards finding somebody that's ready themselves to be ready and be ready to be in a marriage. Because that means like when they come in, just like she might want me to have a job, just when I might want her to have a job in a career, or if not there, but at least aiming towards something. You understand what I'm saying? So it is very important that we understand these things. What are some of your long-term goals, some of your short-term goals, things that you say that I need to get done before I get married? And then there are some stuff, is it necessary to do now or can I do it after? Some stuff, yes, and others not. Because it's like there's some stuff like, like I said, you cannot say, okay, I'm going to build a house and then I'm going to build everything in the house and no roof. If it rains, it snows, guess what? It's like you didn't do nothing at all, because the rain will mess up your electrical wires. The rain will mess up your walls. You're going to have mold, and then it's just going to destroy everything. These are the things you got to be ready for. You got to make sure that your goals is prioritized and it's set up in such a way that, listen, even if I show it to Jeremy can say, okay, I know what you need to do first, this first, that second, number it if you have to, A, B, C, indented, listen, okay, I want the man, I want this, I want the house, I want this, okay, what do I need to do? And you start to line it down. I'm serious, it is that important. It seems like it's a business proposal. I'm sorry, but it's almost like that. You have to make sure that you yourself is ready on every account, everywhere possible. So the question is, what's some of the flexible goals that I need to make sure? Because the thing is that if we're doing the goals and we're setting it up, there are some stuff that, you know what, I put that, no one is complete. I got to put that out there first. And the reason why I put that, I just want you guys to understand the disclaimer, the thing that everybody talk about finding the right person or the right wife, or finding my Boaz, or finding my Ruth, whatever, my Esther. But if you really look back and you go back in the scriptures in the Bible, none of these people were perfect. None of these people were fully set up. They had their own thing they had to work with. They had their own thing they had to deal with. They have their own thing, because the beauty about it, and as I begin to look in the scripture, the way that God designed it, and that's what makes marriage so beautiful. You see, as we get to the second part, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. Remember that in mind. Even though you're going to make the person that you call it the Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, whatever, and they're pleasing to you, but just understand, no one is perfect and no one is complete. Because you yourself, you have a role and a job that you play in that part. Because if God gives you a perfect man, then you have nothing else to do. That's insane. Then marriage would be like, oh my gosh, everybody would just say, I want to get married. That's it. We're getting married today. There will be no divorce. That's because the thing is that there's a work process that's involved in marriage. You see, because as I'm trying to work and perfected my wife herself as a job, she's working and perfecting me, because I'm not perfect. She's not perfect, but together we can work and become better as the couple that we intended to. One of the things that we talk about is that, it's like recreational example. I see people arguing where they're like, oh, he doesn't like to go to the movies. Really? Really? It's like, is that really like a goal that, oh my gosh, if he does not go to the movies at least once a week, that's it. Or if she does not want to go to this place or that place, or she don't do this or that, or some guys like they go up with sisters that like to roughhouse them. They want a girl to be like that. You cannot want your wife to be fighting with you and roll on the dust because your sister did it with you. You know what I'm saying? So you cannot tell me that for you that's a goal if your wife is not want to go to the gym with you and just playing boxing, kickboxing. Oh man, she don't do that. That's it. I'm leaving her. That's a deal breaker for me. Guys, some of these things are not realistic. That's why we say the smart goal, the R stand for being realistic. Is that realistic for real? That means like you want somebody that's exactly like you? I don't know. Physical. Oh man, I know some of you guys are going to chime in on that one. I know you guys are. Because I know a lot of you guys looking for that 6'5", 6'7", and gotta be muscular or gotta be like a Coca bottle shape, all that in the third, Birdie's charming. He needs to be tall. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. These are like goals that sometimes we like and we love, but the reality of the matter is that, and okay, Burley, I'm gonna answer that real quick. Handsome, it's in the eye of the beholder. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I may look at somebody, everybody in the mama look like, yo, this girl, oh my God, and I'm like, yo, she ugly. They're like, what? Oh man, we don't know. It's my taste. No. It is my taste. Because the thing is that's why that's why marriage is so unique, because that's why I tell people, I cannot look at your marriage and try to mimic it, or you look at mine and mimic it, because you can see some good things, but the reality, what I consider beauty, it's like somebody else is like, oh man, if she doesn't have this, like some guys, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know some guys, they feel like if they were with a girl and the girl don't have any body piercing or tattoos or whatever, they think that's not beauty to them. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, and I understand that person, but then for me, that's not beauty. Beauty is not about that, you know, and that's why I'm saying, like, the physical aspect, it is very important that everybody you understand. And that's why, like, when you trying to put your things, because remember, we're not talking about just go random picking some dude off the street. That's why we say that it has to be within God's will and God's time. Because if God is picking, trust me, sometimes God's gonna pick the physical. You're gonna look at it and say, Lord, I know what I prayed, that's not what I asked for. I know I prayed, I remember where I was. But God says, yes, my sister, my brother, but I am the Alpha and Omega. I see the beginning to the end. I want to see, if I give you that woman, this is where your marriage is going to be. But I also know, but if I give you this woman, she will love you like there is nothing else. But the age gap, for some people, that's a major issue. And others, it is not. So personally, I'm not gonna say that, you know, you like 50 and I mean, you're 50 and you're dating like an 18-year-old. That's not what I'm talking about in terms of age gap. You know what I mean? Because remember, I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to tell you and stuff like that. But the concept is the fact that, you know, some people feel like, hey, because, you know, the funny thing about it, I've met a lot of people, like, you know, me and my wife have some friends, and, you know, and one of her friends is like, you know, she was this type of person. This is the things she wants from guys, all that in the third. But the Lord bless her. You know, first and foremost, the guy is younger than her. Man, this guy love her. Oh my God, more than nothing else. And the thing about it, he may not be if you look at it, some of you guys might be like, not for me. But listen, one thing she come to realize is that the fact that they love each other so much, a lot of the things that people would make a big deal, it become to be sort of, that's what love is. Love is to love me beyond my flaws, the things that others would see are flaws, and I love you beyond that. And that's what makes love so powerful. That's what makes it so beyond. And that's why God says all these things will disappear, but love will forever remain. You know, the social thing, you know, like some of you guys are introvert, others are extrovert. You know, other people feel like, oh man, if she cannot be the top, that, you know, I mean, when we go in a place that's like, wow, you know, everybody is different, you know, and that's why it comes to the respect and honor. You see, the respect and honor in your marriage, it kind of shows that you respect the person for who they are. Because remember, the same way that you can see what's wrong with somebody, think how many people will see what's wrong with you. So if everybody would see what's wrong with you, then no one would actually, and everybody think like they think, trust me, most of us would not be married. I would not be married. You know, that's the reality about it. You know, it's the fact that, you know, if we focus on every flaws, everything that we like to call a flaw and stuff like that, and, you know, as you set your goals, it's like, you know, I'm not, like I said, everybody got their goals, you know. Personally, if you ask me, some of these things over the years, I realized some of these things that are the lists that are here, there could be a little bit more, but I'm just trying to keep the basics that I know often we encounter. It's like these can be flexible. I know a lot of you guys looking at me and shaking your head, Jerry, I'm sorry, but trust and believe, it can be flexible. Now, the goals that are non-negotiable, I just put the key, but within these words, it's like, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, it's a list within every single one of them. For those of you that remember, I kind of touched base in it in Genesis 2:15 to 17. The thing that you got to understand is the fact that the thing that God gave is his presence. First thing that God gave Adam in Genesis 2:15, he says that after God created Adam, he placed him in Eden. Eden, it's not so much like, it is a physical place, but also Eden, it is the environment, which means pleasure, which means the presence of God. So the very first thing that God gave them, Adam, is his presence. This is why it bothers me when I see young men, young women, they are in the presence of God, because remember, Eve did not meet Adam anywhere else but in the presence of God. But we are running outside the presence of God, take somebody, trying to bring him to the presence of God. It amazes me. But this is the thing, like, first thing is my presence. That's what God says, my presence. The second thing, he says, Adam, he gave Adam a set rules and set things that, as we come to know, that's God's word. God's word, it tells you the instructions on how you're supposed to conduct yourself, what you're supposed to do. And then one of the things that we talked about, he said, God, Adam, you need to work. See, all this Adam received, and yet he did not have a wife. You see, these things, I believe they are very important and key to a lot of things that we do as men and women. Because the thing is that as Christians, if we are going to try to find the perfect relationship and stuff like that, we have to understand the presence of God is very important in our relationship. Because the thing is that we have to make sure that we are in his presence through prayer, fasting, and all these things. The word of God is like, what does God has for us in our marriage? What word does that have for us in our marriage? What condition, what advice, and what is he trying to say? What vision is trying to birth out of us? Work. Man, I don't need me to cover that, because, you know, that's going to open another world, and I'm not even going to do that. But one thing that he says is that, man, to kind of put it off, it's supposed to be on the work. It's like to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word. In other words, it goes back to what I was saying, because that's what God does for the church, which is an example that he left for us to follow, meaning that we ought to every day perfected each other. I know when I say perfected, there's a difference of like criticizing or speaking to that person out of the name or calling them out different things, different wording, but meaning that to perfected them, meaning that, listen, what also mean your personal goals? Whoa, what? Yes. My goal is to make sure that I help cultivate you, to help you grow, to help you be perfected. What are some of the things you want to accomplish in your dreams? Oh, babe, I always wanted to do this. All right, cool. This is what we're going to do. You see, that takes me to the I must die so we can survive or we may live. Because as long as I'm thinking of the my goal, that's why when you get married, your goal become our goal. It's a way of trying to intertwine them together to become the ultimate goal as a couple. And this is where the relationship taken to another level. This is where we become, that's what they call a power couple, meaning that I'm working towards helping her becoming better, and she's working towards me becoming better. And at the same time, we're working so that our marriage can become better. That's why we're talking work. But most people, when they see all this work, they say, what? I mean, I thought I was just going to be having, just having making babies and all that stuff. Nah, man, that's too much. I can't do that. That's marriage. Marriage is not about, you see, if you look at the word in French, you say marié. That means like, oh, man, I wish I had some strings. You take them, you're tying them up, tying them down. That means if I pull one, I pull the other. If I pull that one that way, the other one come with it because they're tied up. That means like your goals become my goals, your issues become my issues, and it just take our relationship to another level. So your relationship goals gotta be really structured. They have to be set. They have to be defined. They have to be, placed in an order that it makes sense to the point that you say, okay, I can do this, 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 this. I know some of you guys are gonna take and I send this to you. Now, this is an example of some of the marriage goals sheet that a lot of time, if you go to like, the marriage counseling or different things, they often, they give it to each of the partners for them to fill in. Because, as you begin to look at this, some of the things like, you got finance, you got recreational, emotional, social, vocational, spiritual, parenting, family, physical. A lot of these things is the thing that sometimes, we don't think about. I'm going to be honest with you. We don't think about, but it goes into the marriage goals. As we trying to aim towards where we want to go, all these things have to be filled in, got to be set in terms of like, okay, spiritually, what is my spiritual goal? Because all that falls into your marriage goals. Because if I said, okay, spiritually, I want to go to another level with God, and I got somebody, they don't want to go to church. They don't, like, when they come to church, all they do is complaining. Listen, we're already not in the same bandwagon, bandwidth, if you want to call it that. You know what I'm saying? Because then it's like, then if I start talking to you, that's why I always tell people, especially my young women and my young men, not just the young women, if you meet with somebody, the financial, I know we don't like to have this conversation. You got to talk these things out. What do you, because it's like, okay, you're Catholic. I'm a Pentecostal. You want to take the kids to get, people put whatever. And I don't believe in that. That is an issue in our marriage. It's like sometimes by make sure that we don't set these goals, it creates like strain from the beginning, and that's why we said that you got to understand what's flexible to you and what's not, because the thing is that the point is that we don't want you to forever looking at that person and like in hate and in all these things, because we want the marriage to be something, the moment that you look at it, you design it, you plan it, and then you bring God into it. That's why we say the presence of God is in it. It's like, all you want is that success. Because at the end of the day, my final question is that if marriage isn't the goal, I don't know why you're in the relationship, because that is gotta be the ultimate goal of your marriage. You see, if marriage is not part of it, if you're not in that marriage level, that marriage mindset, that marriage, like where we want to be as one, and you just thinking about like, hey, we're just gonna date and we're gonna see where it's gonna go. We're gonna see what? I'm sorry, we're not in the same. I don't know where you're going, but I'm going that way. I guess you go to the corner. Yeah, you can stay right there. Just go by yourself. I am sorry, we can go together. Because it's a reality. We gotta get like that. So thank you very much. At this point, I think our sister Anastacia will take over. Let me just log off. Give me 5 seconds if this thing can work.
Right before I give it to Anna, I just want to clarify what we're gonna do after. After Anna goes, I'm gonna make a few announcements, and then we're gonna open it up to the Q&A portion. So I see some of you guys are writing questions in the chat, and I think those are important. So if you guys want to reiterate those later on when we get to that section, or if you guys want to write them down and ask them or raise your hands, at that point in time, that's when we'll go into those questions. So without any further ado, I present to you Sister Anastacia. Hopefully her mic works today.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Oh, Kimiak.
Okay, so I apologize, guys, in advance before I start talking because um, first of all, I don't have a PowerPoint because I'm still trying to figure out, my laptop situation with the microphone. Pastor Jerry was even trying to help me, but it's still not working. So I'm actually using two devices right now. So I'm using my phone and my laptop. So for that reason, I don't have a PowerPoint. So yeah, so I apologize in advance. So Jerry just gave well, first of all, a beautiful presentation, and they're like a very quick presentation, at short but very informational. Um, well, what he mentioned in his presentation is that he said it's good to set goals and it's good to write them down. So I guess everything that he spoke about today was more like the physical aspect of it. And I guess what I'm gonna do today is was more like a spiritual aspect of it, if you want to put it in a sense, because like I said, Larry just said, you guys are already writing your questions, but my question to you guys, so what if, of all the things Jerry just said, and of all the things that you guys just mentioned, I want my Boaz to be tall. I want him to be a millionaire. I want him to be this and that and this and that. So these are your goals. Like when what are you looking for in your relationship, and you write them down, and you have a check. You have a box next to it, and whatever you need, you put a check mark next to it. So my question to you guys: what if you don't have all the check marks? You don't have all the a check mark in every single box, every single goal. So does that mean you didn't really you didn't really accomplish that goal, or you didn't meet the goal? And so because the story I'm gonna talk about today is the story about Ruth, not Ruth Shama, but Ruth in the Bible, and Ruth and the Boaz. And I know you all know that story, and you guys love that story. God, when am I gonna, I want my Boaz, I want my Ruth, things like that. But if you guys, I'm not gonna say the whole story, but just to like come to a point, or what I want to talk about is just that you guys know like Ruth was a Moabite, and Naomi, which is her mother-in-law, they went to like they left Bethlehem because of a famine, and then they went to Moab, and then there Ruth found Naomi had two sons, whatever, and so on. And Ruth happened to marry one of them, and they, later on, the husband died, whatever, and they went back to Bethlehem. And Ruth insisted that she must go with Naomi, and that was done, and blah blah blah. So later on in the story, so we find out that when Ruth married before Ruth met with Boaz, and as a young girl, you could always say, what are your goals? Like Jerry would say, when you get married, what are your goals? What do you want? So you have a plan, especially planning a wedding. And I want to go back a little bit with a sermon that Minister Larry preached, I think last month, about the custom, like that was the traditions of a Jewish wedding before, I don't know if you guys remember that sermon. It was a very like informational, like very interesting sermon. And in the Jewish, it takes a few days before for a wedding. It doesn't really happen just like that. In every culture, do they do their weddings like different than ours. Like the Haitian wedding only takes one day. But like you could say like a Jewish wedding takes about a week, if I'm not mistaken. And other countries have like all the cultures have different things. But of all the Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we could hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. So of all the things that Larry mentioned, like if we remember the story of Ruth, like I said, I'm not really gonna go deep into it. But Ruth didn't really meet all these criteria. She didn't like really meet all these goals because like she didn't like have like a wedding preparation. I think one thing Larry mentioned that after the marriage, the men has to like like Boaz, I would say in that case, would go and then prepare a house, and then they have to live in that house for a certain year before they meet with their wife. It's like things like that. So if we look at it, like we couldn't really say that though like if Ruth had goals, that she had met those goals. You know, so but I would imagine like when like she was getting married, she had her own goals, but because like her goals wasn't God's goals, so did it mean that Ruth didn't meet her goals? And then my same question to you guys. So like I know some of you already wrote in the chat, like I want my Boaz to be that. So, what if God's plan is different than your plan? So I would say, that which come to my goals versus God's goals. Like I know Bertie said, I want my man to be cute because I don't want to have ugly babies, things like that. I don't want to walk with three monsters and stuff like that. Or Larry, who would like five boys. It's like, okay, what if God's plan for you is to have five girls? It's just like little things like that. So I guess it's good to have goals. Jerry said. I mean, it's important to have goals. I mean, in everything, not just in a relationship, not just in a marriage. It's always important to have a goal. Even when you go to school, like in your career, whatever, you need to set goals. But one thing you to always have to keep in mind: do my goals meet God's goals? What if God wants something different from me? You know what I mean? Because in Jeremiah 29, it says, For I know the thoughts that I have towards you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. So I know I want to marry that white Caucasian man, but what if, but God, because God knows God's plan for me is to give me a hope in the future. What if He gives me a black or African male or a Haitian male? You know what I mean? So does that mean did I meet my goal because I didn't marry that Caucasian man? And another thing is that, in Isaiah 55, verse 8 and 5, it said, "My thoughts are not your thoughts, or my ways your ways, says the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." So imagine, like, let's say let's say everybody wants to marry a millionaire. Like, think about it. Come on, like who wants to go to work, and make like the average salary? Everybody wants to have that millionaire. Everybody wants to marry that man. Good, like, I mean, some of us, to be honest with you, some may say, oh, as long as he has the money, the look doesn't matter. Like, if I can pay my bills and drive my BMW or my Mercedes, like, the look doesn't matter as long as he has the money. It don't matter the age, it don't matter the thing. I mean, you could have a goal, but the moment you see the money, the billionaire, the billion comes, you scratch all these goals off. You go for the billion. I mean, I'm not saying that's you guys, maybe other people, but some people that's what they want. But some people, they really want to, like, stick to their goals. Like they will say, you wanna keep my goal. This is my goal. I've been dreaming of it since I was younger, and I want to stick to it. You know what I mean? So what if you like I said, what if you wanna, like, one of your goals is to marry a millionaire, and then all of a sudden, but God's goal is to to have someone. I'm not saying somebody poor. I would say like a billionaire, instead of giving you a billionaire, but gives you a millionaire and give you much more than that, much more than that. So when you let God, I mean, my question is, I think what I'm trying to say is that, are you including God in your goals? Are you including Him? Because once you include Him, because His desires are not your desires. I mean, I feel like, if I were to ask anybody, if I were to ask anybody, to write your goal, all you need really is you get a piece of paper, or your journal, whatever. You get a pen, and then you start writing your thoughts, your desire, what you want. But once you, if I was to ask you, what if are you including God in it, then it changes a little bit, because including God in your goals, it requires more than just a pen and a paper. It requires obedience, patience, perseverance, faith, submission, and of course prayer. A lots and lots of prayer, because you cannot be any relationship, and then as long as without prayer, and as long as God, I know, I mean, it's always good, like Jeremy said, but you can present your plans to God. God, I want my Boaz to be tall, to be a millionaire, to have like nice, to have good manners, all of that good stuff, but not my will, your will be done. Not my will, but your will be done. So it's always good to have, to include God in your goals. Never leave Him out, because He needs to be at the center. So once you include God in your goals, so my question now is to, like I said, I wasn't gonna talk long to end this. Even though you didn't meet all the check, you didn't put a check box next to everything, but follow God's goal. Did at the end of the day, you got your Boaz, and at the end of the day, can you really say, I met my goal? Even if it didn't mean that, even if it meant that I left five things out, five things didn't get accomplished, or two things didn't get accomplished, or none of it got accomplished, but all of God's plan in my life got accomplished, and I got the men that God created for me. So my question to you guys: did you meet your goal? Thank you. So that was it. I don't know if I was clear to everybody. I hope I was clear. So I'm gonna pass it to Larry, and with the pour la suite nécessaire.
Euh, Merci, c'est Anastacia. Chrétien, dans tout endroit qui nous y est, moi, salut nous. I hope everything was clear. I think both presentations were very clear, and I don't know about you guys, but I think I learned a lot. So like I said, we're gonna move on to questions, but before I do so, I just want to make some quick announcements. And your two panelists said that they're gonna answer anything you have. I don't know what that means, but like I said, I'm there. So yeah, the three things that I want to cover, uh, well, basically it's really two things. The first one being times. Um, so it meaning that we know that we've kind of shifted the youth schedule from, primarily where we used to meet on Saturdays, but because of how things are now, currently we're meeting Tuesdays and Thursdays. Um, Tuesdays at 7 for Bible study, and Thursdays at 9 for prayer. But however, what we want to check and be sure of is if those two times work best for you guys. So, is the 7 o'clock hour good for you guys on Tuesdays, or would you prefer Bible studies to be a little earlier on Tuesdays? And for Thursdays, 9 o'clock good for prayer, or would you prefer to have that earlier? I'm pretty sure you guys don't want to have it later. What we're gonna do, just so that there's any confusion, I'm gonna put these things out here now, and then I'm gonna ask later on Group Me. I was trying to create a poll in here, but I guess it's a little confusing. So I'll make those on Group Me either tonight if we don't late or tomorrow. About the time for both Bible study and for prayer on Thursday, so you guys can get more specific. And the last thing that announcement I wanted to make was about the virtual choir. I sent out the files, I believe, sometime last week. And I believe Terendi sent out a reminder yesterday. Um, I've seen some people put their Bible verses and the Bible verse doc, but the majority of people have not yet done so. And I'm assuming that means that a lot of you guys haven't even really looked at it. You guys could put in the chat. Has everybody looked at the doc, the PDF, and the thing yet? If you have, put a yes in the thing. If you haven't, just let me know, just so we have an idea. If you haven't, the reason I bring this up is because recording it is not necessarily hard, but it is going to take some time. So you're going to want to have some practice beforehand. Just don't forget the videos are due next Monday. But don't just think you're gonna wake up Monday and learn a whole new song in Creole and with your notes when you gotta do what note and then just be able to record it and all that. You're gonna have to do it beforehand. So the suggestion is that you start looking at it now and you start practicing now. Not only that, if you have any questions, the sooner you ask that question, the better for you. If it's a question other people might have, I might be able to answer that question for them as well. So again, get on it, get on it, get on it. There's this really great video that kind of explains everything by this really handsome guy. We're talking about good-looking guys, and yeah, it's a really great video. It's in there in the file. Take a look at it. So yeah, so without further ado, now we're gonna move on to questions. I believe you guys are all capable of being civil. So you have an option of unmuting yourself and just asking your question, or if you want to put it in the chat, please specify if you want one or both of our panelists to answer your question, and we're going to do it like that. Is everything clear? Mkwesa, right? Okay. Does anybody want to go first? Okay, fine. Forget y'all. I'm gonna go first. So
There are some questions from before. Why don't you answer the questions from before?
Okay, you guys want to do it that way? Okay, so I guess I'll scroll up in the chat. Let me see what the real questions are. Rolly said he needs to be tall. I don't think that's the question. He needs to look good. He needs to kiss my forehead. I don't think those are real questions. Okay, Natalie seems to have the first real question in the chat. I guess I'll address this to both of you guys. Is it possible to have non-negotiables and still be flexible? Natalie wants to know, is it possible to have non-negotiables and still be flexible? I don't know who wants to answer first.
Go ahead, Jared.
Nat, can you you mean like for the same thing, or what do you mean by non-negotiables and still be flexible? Or do you mean like does some of your goals can be non-negotiable and some can be flexible, if that's what you mean? Or is it for the same exact thing?
So I'm looking over the chat. I don't think Natalie's still in here, so but I'm sure it's a question other people would want you to answer.
No, that I'm trying to, because the thing is that based on like
She means
what
for
she's
the
really.
same thing. It's for the same thing, like at the same time. Can you be non-negotiable and be flexible at the same time?
Oh, wow. Non-negotiable and flexible at the same time. If something is a non-negotiable, automatically it's like it's either or. You understand what I'm saying? example, let's just take the example for like we're taking something like faith, you know what I mean, like spirituality or whatever you want to call it. It's like we said earlier, first thing that God gave is his presence. It's like me saying that this is a non-negotiable for me, but I can be flexible with this person because whether I think he's cute or whether I think she's sexy, whatever the case may be, and I'll be flexible with it. So basically, the moment I do that, it's no longer become a non-negotiable. You know what I mean? Because the thing is that something that's a non-negotiable, that's something that's like set in stone. It's kind of like that's like no if no but about it. You know, that's why we said that you yourself, you gotta identify from the get-go which is what. And like I say, if you're making a list and you want to identify which is what for you, so and these are the things that you can kind of like look at it. But like Anna was saying, something concerning example, like I said, God, it's non-negotiable from the get-go, especially given the fact that as Haitian people, we know how our peoples are. We know where we come from. We know. So these are the things like personally dealing with personal issues. I would say like I don't deal with that. I don't negotiate when it comes to the presence of God. It's like because the thing is that when the enemy, because tout connaît, les diables viennent attaquer nous à souhait, ou madame qui pas même prier même. Come on now. Listen, you want somebody when things happen, they can get up and start fasting with you. That I don't negotiate that. I'm sorry. Non-negotiable. It's either you negotiate or it's not. Flexible or it's none. So it cannot be both, to be honest. I don't know if anybody has any other comments or statement they believe, but I don't think so.
I don't know if Anna has anything that she wants to add on.
Not really. I mean, I think Jerry answered the question pretty well. Like maybe if Natalie was there, that she would really. I mean, like Jerry asked before, what I mean, it wasn't really what did she mean in what aspect, But I think Jerry answered it pretty well. Like some things are not, you can't really. I mean, you said non-negotiable, but flexible. I don't feel like these two words, like I don't think like I think yes.
I'm here now.
I do have a comment though.
I mean, one example that I was looking at, it said, okay, like some of you may say, I want my husband to be tall, and it's non-negotiable. I mean, like you say, and but I can be flexible. I mean, it's either you want him short or you want him tall. Like I mean, I said you want to like, which is not illegal, like have a tall husband and a short husband, or like have him go through a process of surgery, make him taller or make him shorter. I mean, certain just non-negotiable. You can't be flexible to a certain. Either you want it or you don't.
I
I
think
don't know if that makes
that
sense,
is, I
but
think like at the same time, like that is being non-negotiable and being flexible. It's like maybe like when you were younger, you thought, oh, that's like a non-negotiable for me. But as you got older, you became more flexible, saying, okay, maybe I did want a tall husband, but now I'm more flexible because I realized that just because my husband is not tall, but if he's a man of God, that's more important to me. So like you become more flexible towards that route. You get me? So I think it's like, you know what I mean? I think it's like part of like being like a matter of growth at the same time.
Yeah, that's why I wanted Natalie to kind of
Piggyback though. So like Natalie,
clarify what she's
So,
really trying to say.
so
So
wait. So the question was, what do I mean by that?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I just meant was, let's say that person really likes, I don't know, like French fries or something. Like, let's say they really like French fries, but like you're just like, I'm a vegan and I don't believe in eating. Or no. They really like milk, but you're a vegan and you really don't, you really don't like milk. And you can't drink milk and everything like that. So are you supposed to be flexible on something like that, or is it, if it's your non-negotiable, should you just be high strung on what you believe in?
I mean, I don't know what Jerry would say about that, but I feel like when you put it that way, I feel like certain things could be flexible. There's something that's called compromising, right? And I think the I don't know, but you guys weren't in there with the conference that the Pastor Adiba had. Sometimes in a marriage you just have to like compromise. Like if he's lactose intolerant, he can't drink milk. So can I say, okay, I can't marry somebody because they like to tell and I love milk? Certain things that Jerry just said in the beginning, it's not really as important. Certain things you can compromise. If he likes meat and you don't, or if he's allergic to it, or you're not, it's like, okay, instead of having a guy, you go to the shop, right? Your husband doesn't, can't have milk. You get the almond milk, and then if you really love that milk, you get yourself a regular gallon of milk, and then it's a conversation you guys can have. If it comes like health wise, maybe you can have that conversation. And why is it important that I drink almond milk? So with explanation, with a conversation, with a communication, then you can, oh, okay, I didn't see it that way. Maybe I can, try to see if I can drink it, even if it tastes like a little nasty at first, or later, oh, okay, maybe almond milk is not that, certain, things that I don't know if Jerry want to, say more about it, but I feel like in certain ways, I would say yes.
Let me see. All right. No, what I was gonna say, and that's what I was trying to understand with Natalie, like with her example. That is, I think you identified. That's something that we discussed. It's like that is, like we said, that is a personal thing to me, but it's not like a deal killer in the beginning. So in the first place, it was not non-negotiable in the first place. You understand what I'm saying? It was just like that's just my preference, sort of thing. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What you saying makes sense.
So if for me to say like, okay, because like she said, like, because so many times we can see the average family, everybody in the family drinks different milk because it's a different preference. Like even like right now, my kids, I'm buying like 20 different cereals. This one would not eat that one. That one would, it's like that's their preference, so that's a little bit different in terms of like a deal killer. That's a non-negotiable, and that's why I use the example of faith, because the reason why I said that is because it's like, that the basis of our marriage, the basis of everything that we do, if it's based on faith and like on believe in God and stuff like that, and that person says that, hey, I don't believe in God, I don't want to have nothing to do with it. To me, already off the bat, that is, because remember, every time you start praying in the house, he or she will start complaining, say, "Hey, you're making too much noise." You see, it's like that's not within itself even like, because then as the kids grow, then it's going to become an issue, because then this one wants to go to church, that one don't want to go to church, and then it creates frustration, because a lot of parents, they're suffering from that right now. It's like genki fe kedel, they're suffering like heart attacks, heart problem, tension mute, every day, because it's an argument behind faith. So some of these things that's like it's definitely like a no. It's like, it cannot, there's no flexibility in that. You know what I'm saying? Because people that trying to flex it, later on they regret, because it end up being like it end up being more like a burden for them. Then they look at it, why didn't I even get myself in that? That's what I mean by non-negotiable.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers the question.
Answer my question. Thank
Okay.
you.
No problem.
Thank you, Anna.
No problem.
Okay, so I'm gonna move right along to the next one, just so we can economize our time. The next one I believe was from Burley. It says, this is when we're talking about setting goals. It says, what financial goals should you set, especially in the climate of loans and debt?
All right. I mean,
Yeah, wait, I think Jerry went first last time. I want Anna to go first this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question was, what financial goals?
Should you set, especially in the climate of loans and debt?
Absolutely, you should. I think you can't leave the finance behind. Like if you have to, it has to be part of it. You can't leave it behind. Whether you like especially for a lot of college students, who have a lot of loans, whatever. Thank God for those who don't, but most of us, we do have goals. We know after you graduate, 6 months later, those letters are gonna come in. You need to start paying your loans and stuff like that. So is something you should really include in your goals and how you should go about it. The moment you graduate from school with prayer, pray, go before God and ask, that you find a job that's gonna help you. And there, I know certain things. I'm not really an expert on that, but I know like some people do find jobs easily, some don't. Should you say that that you're a good person, you're a bad person because you just graduate college and you find a job, and some take a year or two before you find a job, and in the midst of it, if you like a woman of God, God, you're in a relationship, you want to get married because you want to avoid sexual immorality, all of that stuff. You want to get married because you don't want to date a person for 10 years. So you graduate college, you do what you're supposed to do, graduate college. That means, okay, I can't really find a job. So how are you gonna I know there's certain things, a lot of things that you can do. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but one of them could be I think it's called deferring your deferring your student loans. Of course, like now you're gonna have to end up paying more later. But there's a different, like I said, I'm at all, and I'm not an expert. There's different ways you can do, I can deal with it. It's either you like the moment you graduate, you start looking for jobs immediately, and you go before that. You go into prayer. God is able. God is He can help you get a job. But like I said, and just in case if you don't, does that mean you're not a child of God? Of course you are. Things, God works differently for each of His children, but you need to like be persistent. You need to persevere and be patient. And then if you do find that job, start paying your loans. And then do be able to manage your money, and you're paying your loans, and then you're being able to support your family at the same time. I mean, there's, like I said, there's different ways you can go about it. I'm not really like 100% sure, but definitely you need to find something you and your partner, even before you get married, you need to sit down. Like, okay, can we afford a house now? I mean, I'm paying student loans, especially if some people it's just one, some is just both of you guys are paying student loans. Is it okay? Can we just like rent an apartment and next time knock out those student loans, like, or a majority of it, or and then we get a house, or you want to just go straight for the house? Like certain things, you really need to be smart when you think about your finances, and then anything that can help you in between to pay your student loans. If it doesn't bother the family, if it's not taking away too much time of the family, go ahead, do it. There's different way you can go about it. So like I said, Jerry may add more to it or like make it more clear. But absolutely, you need, before you even get married, you need to sit down with your partner, set up your finances, like how you're gonna go about them, and then put God, and go before God in prayer, and yeah.
Thank you, Anna. I think Anna make a lot of good point, a lot of good examples. Um, the thing about that, when you talk about financial goals, if you talk about relationship, first and foremost, I think Burley, I think you came to one of the things that we did a conference, and that's why I always said a lot of couples, like you said, nowadays in this climate, most people either have loans or they have student debt or any type of debt possible, from like a car or whatever, the car note. All these are debt. I know some people call it good debt or bad debt, whatever they want to call it. Debt is debt at the end of the day. The moment you have debt, like somebody, somewhat owns you. So like Anna said, Anna identified a good point, because in this moment, as you're planning, it goes back to what I was saying. If you're planning $100,000 debt and your student loan is 50, is it possible that we can actually sit down? And that's why you have to be honest with one another. Like, that's why, like, I know some people find it very offensive if somebody say, hey, what's your credit score? Do you have any debt? They say, how dare you ask me that question? No, we need to know. Because remember, I mean, being a business major, that's why I always tell people, we need every single data possible so we can make a decision. Because if there is a data that is not present, then my decision is gonna be done without that data being present. So when that data present is introduced, guess what? It throws everything off because nothing was planned for it. Because that's what happened to a lot of couples. It's like they get married, they're thinking, okay, because remember, another thing you have to understand, reality. The moment that you get married, your husband or your wife debt becomes your debt. If you got $50,000 or $100,000 student loan, and your husband or your wife, they have zero and they have a perfect credit score, and then they have all that debt and then they have a low credit score. The moment that you got introduced together, guess what? They take the average of it. and the average give you the midpoint. And guess what? Your credit score go from that, and it's affected in a way because guess what? You got married, you inherit that person's debt. So with that said, is that like Anna made a good point, is that you guys got to be honest. And when you make your plan for your marriage, if it's a 10-year plan, guess what? In that 10-year period, if it means that, hey, we're not going to be able to go to a restaurant 24/7 or like, twice a week as we want it, maybe instead of going like every weekend, we go once a month. Why? Because that money we go that $50 or whatever, depends on if you got a, I know y'all got some taste. So, like $150 a weekend, take that and multiply that by 4. You're looking at about a good, you see where I'm going with this? That's the $600 you can put towards your student loan. Guess what? And you pay it off quicker, faster, and you guys can move forward to live the life that you desire. So it is always got to be part of the plan. That's why even like on last Sunday, I even said that your finances play a major part, because remember, at least I think it's like 60% of divorce is based on finances, because either people were hiding stuff or people were not talking about stuff. People were lying, and then when they got married, thinking like, oh, we both got good credit, we bought a house, come to find that person owe $250,000. What? Okay, what are you doing? What's your plan? Oh, okay, how much you make an hour? 15. Man, you're not paying that for the rest of your life, and our kids gonna continue paying for that. And that's the reality. Because the thing about it, student loan is the one debt you cannot get rid of, even if you file for bankruptcy. You file for bankruptcy, it's still there with you. So it is very important that you kind of like really discuss this thing, and it's not something to be shy away from. You got to be honest about it, and you got to really deal with it, and always have a plan and strategy about it. How we can tackle it together. And it goes back to what I was saying. If our goal is to be like, we want to be able to have the dreams to go on vacation, all that stuff. But it might take, like I said, there might be some setbacks, but part of the plan, it's our plan is to be able to do this as a couple. First thing we need to do, part of our strategy, get rid of our debt. Okay, now the question is, how do we do this? All right, instead of doing this, and this is the plan, we start to look at, okay, where can we squeeze? That's not going to hurt the family. I think Anna mentioned that, because sometimes you have to be able to squeeze on some stuff. Instead of having like 3 cars, I know some families want to have one car, we're going to church only, and this one has a car. Listen, leave that car and let's just get that. Instead of buying a brand new car off the lot, listen, let's just be smart about it, because the same car you were going to buy, if you wait 2 more years, 2 years, and you can get it like from like a used, and trust me, it only got like sometime only like 27, 17 miles on it, because they used to lease it. You can literally pay almost like more less than probably even half for that same car. But if 2 years ago it cost 40 grand, now it's like 20,000 or 19,000. So if you get it, you still come on top. So you still have a nice car. It may not be like the car of the year as you want it right now, but remember, you're building yourself up. And as you're building yourself, you got to be very smart on how you do it financially. I don't know if that answers your question, Burley.
Okay, so Burley says yes, that her question was answered. So we're gonna move right along to the next question. Actually, before we do that, I'm just gonna put this out there just in case anybody wants to take that option. If you have a question where you want to be anonymous, but yet you want to present it to the speaker, feel free to text I personally, Pastor Jerry or Sister Anastacia. If I don't know if you guys want to put your numbers in the chat, so if in case anybody wants to text you guys an anonymous question and you guys could just answer out loud, we could do it that way as well. But yeah, as you guys are doing that, I'm gonna present the question from Rushama that she wants both of you guys to answer. And the question is, in extreme cases, like abuse and other bad circumstances, is divorce still permissible? And if not, is indefinite separation seen as wrong? And again, she wants both of you guys to answer. Would you guys? I'm going to repeat it one more time because I feel like it was a little long. In extreme cases, like abuse and other bad circumstances, is divorce still permissible? And if not, is indefinite separation seen as wrong?
That's a Pastor Jerry question.
I'm sorry, I meant still not permissible.
I mean, I don't know who we want to go. I mean, I want to go first because I just want to be quick because I know Jerry probably has way more to say than me. I mean, I know if I were to I can't quote verses because I don't remember the verse. It says that the only way you can like I said, Pastor Jerry can correct me if I'm wrong. The only way the Bible allows someone to get a divorce if it's adultery, if you catch the person, not just saying, "Oh, Shama, I said your husband, you're cheating on you with this woman," but you got to see it with your own eyes. Your husband was cheating on you. You know, in that case, you can divorce your husband. But if you do divorce, you can't remarry. You can't marry somebody else. That's what the Bible says. And then yes, if you feel like you're being abused, I mean, nobody wants to be. You know, there's a lot of cases here in America and other countries where husbands kill their wives. You know, like things like that's serious. That's what I say. When you don't really when you don't really put God into your goals, you marry that wrong person, wrong things can happen, you know? So you do marry somebody and they're abusing you. So should you say in that relationship? I personally said you shouldn't because you don't want somebody to kill you to death. So if it's that serious and not just, like if it's that serious, then I said you shouldn't be in that relationship. But knowing that if you do leave that person, then you can't be with unless you make that you dedicate yourself to serve God. Just you in Christ. I can't. I get a divorce and I'm not gonna remarry. Then I'm gonna devote myself to serve God for the rest of my life without having any booze on the side. So I said to Jerry.
I think Anna already kind of fill in all the blanks. But the reality of it, I think Anna kind of make a statement, but she didn't really open it up. It's the fact that that's why I think she said it, and I said it earlier also, that you have to make sure that definitely, like, I know a lot of time, that's why we're saying that certain things you got to look beyond that. You got to look beyond, like, oh, he's handsome or she's pretty, she's sexy, the body, whatever. Oh my God, she's tall, she's whatever, whatever. All these things, they may be, I'm not saying they're not important, they're important, but we say that these are like things that to the eyes it's look good, but then when you start dealing with the person character, personality, who they are, and that's a whole nother level. You see, so this is why like if you say, when I put the first thing I said is God's presence, because one of the things I've learned is the fact that the God that we serve, he never lets you go in these things and does not give you warning. Sometimes we do not heed to God's warning, meaning that, God, you may say, God, I'm looking for a man. You're praying, you're fasting, and God may tell you, hey, this is the person I want you to marry. Larry, I apologize. I'm going to take you as an example, okay? You say, I want you to marry Larry or whatever. And then you say, no, God, I don't like Larry. I don't like this. I don't like that. And you're still praying and you say, I want that one. But God is telling no. That's what Anna was saying. God's plan versus your plan. What is it? Because the thing is that when God gives you a plan, that's because he knows what he's giving you and who he's giving you. In reality, that's why I said nobody's perfect. People argue, people may do things, people make mistakes and all that stuff, and that's why it's very important that as men and women of God that, we always, be in prayer. And that happens, I'm not saying like, the person wants to abuse or to hit you, whatever, or whatever the thing may be. That's why you got to make sure that you take the proper steps and make sure that you go see whether it's, if that's why it's important, is he a man of God also, or is she a woman of God? So to say, hey, let's go see our pastor or whatever the case may be. But if not, then to make sure we get the proper help, because the thing is that it's like, of course, we will never want you to picture yourself in a situation, like Anna said, for death to be imminent, because that's not what we want, but it is very important that you understand these things before you move in. Don't look into the, like, like God told Samuel, men look on the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. You see, when God is looking at the heart, God is picking and God is choosing, God knows what he's doing. And God, knows what he's picking and stuff like that. So because when you come to God, you say, God, hey, I'm looking at, and stuff like that, because, often what we do, it's we bring people to God and we want God's seal of approval. Instead of saying, God, listen, this, I'm looking for a man, I'm looking for a husband and stuff like that. And God, and you begin to pray and fast and for God to help you find that, because that's a different approach. And what I'm telling you is that it is like there's no, how would I put it to you? Issues, they are so like, you hear so many different things concerning that. It's like tell you to run away, tell you, hey, get a divorce. But then the reality of it, like I say, how old are you? Okay, I'm 25, I'm 27, I'm 20, I'm 30. Even if I'm 40, can you spend the next 40 to 50 years by yourself? You see, there's never like a good answer that's gonna satisfy what the answer you're gonna get. Because it's just like, say, okay, you caught that person cheating, okay, you're gonna divorce. But then can you remain, like Anna said? You wanna decide to stay. Is that person gonna change? Because remember, like the reality, like I can't change you, you can't change me, no one can change nobody. What happened? Oh, I thought somebody said something. But
It's just not that you're next to me.
oh, I thought it sounded like Sharma was talking. But yeah, so like I said, like Anna said, the way you can get divorced, you caught the person red-handed, but it's like, when you get the divorce, but it's just like it's rough. I'm not gonna lie to you. I know people that's dealing with that right now. It's like they, whatever the circumstance was with them and their wife, they got a divorce. Now it's like they're in that predicament. Now it's like now they feel like, oh my God, I can stay by myself. You know what I'm saying? Then they're like, okay, I want to get married. Should I get married? Can I get married? It's just tough because they are like the flesh against the spirit. It becomes like a battle of constant every day in and day out. It's the fact that the spirit versus the flesh, the spirit versus the flesh. Which one do I give in to? So it's a hard question, but thank you, appreciate it though.
Can I just add something?
Go ahead.
Yes, one thing I want to add is that besides I know Pastor says it a lot. You really need to be careful because like a husband or a man is not gonna come out of nowhere and start beating you. Like when you date someone, first of all, you need to go before God. Is that relationship right for me? Am I in the right relationship? Am I dating the right person? Because there are certain signs that you gotta look at even when you start dating the person. Because it's not just like I'm not saying he's gonna beat you up like while you guys are dating. And if he is beating you up while you guys are dating and you still want to marry that person, I'm like, girl, what's wrong with you? And even if it doesn't beat you up at the relationship, but you got to look for a certain sign. He may not like abuse you physically, but emotionally, verbally. There's certain he's not gonna go out of nowhere and start like abusing you. That's why you need to like know who you're dating, know the person, go before God, because the person may seem like he's a nice guy, but once the marriage starts, problem starts. It's just you really gotta put God first in your relationship. I know it's hard, but sometimes we want what we want, and God's opinion doesn't matter. But this is a time that you really gotta put God's opinion, because this is a guy you're gonna marry for the rest of your life. Look for things in the relationship. You gotta look for like the little things, the littlest thing you gotta look at. Is he really abusing you? When he gets mad, when you say something wrong, how does he react when he gets mad while you're dating the person? It's not. Don't wait till you get into the marriage. If I say something wrong or something I shouldn't say, how does he react to that? Does it seem like verbally abusing me or like mentally abusing me? Does he look at me? Do I embarrass him? When I do something say something embarrassing, how does he take it? Does he get mad or does he laugh at me? Or does he like? You gotta look for everything matters. When it comes to this, I'm not saying you're gonna find the perfect man like Jerry said. No man is complete. We complete each other, but nobody's complete by themselves. Certain things you can, different culture, different. You may be from Haiti, and the same person from Haiti from different. Like I know Jerry always say, I'm from Cabaret. You're from Lapland. You're from Laguna, but everything, even the Haiti, the country within itself has different like culture, has different things that they adapt. So is it something that I can manage? Is it something you can manage? That's why it's always important to go before God first and pay attention to every little thing. If he's abusing you in the relationship, he's surely going to abuse you in the marriage, unless it's that God make him a new man. All things are gone, and behold, all things. Old things are gone. Behold, all things are made new. But if he's like abusing you in the relationship, be careful. do not take the next step forward if he's doing that, because once he marries, do not, oh, I got the girl, I can do whatever I want to her. So you need to be careful with that. Okay, so I don't know if we answered your question with Shama.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So
Shama, you and your questions.
yeah, the next question is supposed to be from Shama, but I don't think it's fair that Shama should get two in a row. So I'm gonna ask one of my questions because I have like three. And then I'll try to pepper mine in. So back up seven manger pour pas manger tout, comprenez-moi? So my first question is this is for both of you guys. It's do you regret the cost that you spent on the wedding? Do you regret the wedding cost? And before you both answer, Jerry, I just want to remind you that your wife Sophie is on the line.
I love that question.
Oh, I'm first?
I answered I have a question first, so you go first.
All right. Actually, believe it or not, I do not regret it, because when I say I do not regret it, wow. Babe, can I tell him everything? Huh? All right. I'm gonna tell you guys a true story. For those of you guys that remember our testimony before we got married, you guys remember, like, we just put the down payment for the thing in January. We put the down payment for the place, and when we were looking for a place, everywhere we go through, these people were charging an arm and a leg. This guy, when we saw him, we just say, this is how much you're gonna be paying. He said, listen, can you give us 300 people? He's like, he said, if you can give me 300 people, I'll give you. Listen, the thing he gave us, the place didn't make no money. It was so bad. When we went to tell the people, listen, we're giving a lot of people and we have extra people, can we be free? He said, like, we losing money. Okay, the banquet manager gave us a deal, then the owners were upset. But the thing I'm saying is that when we did this thing, it's like we're planning a wedding. We just put the down payment. And then in the midst, my wife lost her job. Right after that, in January, she lost her job. And now at that point, I was doing my master's, and I had to change my hours to work part-time because I had to do internship. So we didn't have money. So the reality, we didn't really pay for the wedding, because the thing that God revealed, and this is what we're talking about, it's like because that's when a lot of you guys were saying, like, Jerry, you lost a lot of weight. That's because we're fasting like crazy. We were fasting like there was nobody's business, day in and day out. And the thing that we realized in the moment of fasting, God was speaking, God was revealing. God was revealing so much that he was giving us direction in terms of even the tiniest details in our marriage. God was saying, no, I don't want that. Listen, God will use people that don't even know us. People would just say, oh, I don't know, but I had a dream, da, 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 da. The moment that person says, we say, okay, we know what God is saying. He said, because we're praying and asking, and he'll send people from far away, just saying a dream. Hey, I dream about you guys. This and this and this and that. I'm like, oh, wow. So that's why we say when God, the presence of God is in something, God will shift. What I mean by that, meaning that God will send people, will bless us in such a way that, honestly, if I was really counting how much money I spent, we didn't really spend a lot of money, because in a lot of way, God really pay everything, because the answer he gave us is the fact that when we look at it, we're like, God, there's no money. We're not working. And he says that, listen, wait for me at the Bank of America. In other words, every bank in America is mine. So if I ordained it, then I will complete it. That's why I love Ephesians 1:6. He that begot a good work is able to complete it. You see, that's why when I say that, people look at me like I've been saying, I say, I am insane, because what I see God done is like crazy. No, I don't regret it. Because I didn't. Anna, you
Jerry, you smart. Your wife was listening and you said, no, you didn't regret it. That's a good answer. Okay.
No, it's true. No, I'm serious. Larry, you were there.
Jerry had a blast. Jerry partied, so I don't take agree with the money. You see him at the reception?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Anna.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Okay, I mean, to answer your question, I mean, like Jerry said, I think my answer is the same. Absolutely not. I did not regret anything. First of all, because I didn't pay for the wedding, because I mean, my wedding story, like, it's like it's another testimony. It's a new and I mean, it's a whole new testimony for like a whole another other day or another presentation. That's something we would take forever. But like Jerry said, I think I would kind of follow the same, similar to Jerry's, that I didn't pay for my wedding. I honestly don't think I spent $500 on my wedding.
What you be,
When
man?
God is doing it, guys, I'm telling
Honestly,
you.
I'm being honest because first of all, um, when I got married, like I said, it was a whole new story. It's just very. I only got married with my associate's degree, so I didn't really have a big job. Like, I'm not suggesting you guys do get your masters if you have to, but like I didn't really have a good job, to be honest, when I got married. But it was more me getting involved, first of all, because yes, I do love the person that I was dating, but it was more spiritual. Why we came to that decision. So we did get married. I didn't spend anything. I didn't spend and I honestly didn't spend anything. So I don't regret getting married, because I mean the money that was spent, because first of all, I didn't really, it wasn't really my money. I didn't have the money, and I don't regret that. God gave me a good husband, and I love my family. I love my husband. So I'm enjoying every penny of my of my wedding.
Sudomun.
I'm enjoying it. So I'm not saying that there's ups and downs, but absolutely do not regret a single penny of it. Yep.
Okay.
So who asked that question? You asked that question, Larry?
Yeah, that was me. I just had to know because
Because the thing is,
some.
like, I
Go
mean,
ahead,
but
Sophie.
I get your question, but at the same time, I feel like sometimes people do have weddings and spend like unnecessary, you know what I mean? Do like things like above and beyond. So I think you have to be careful, like going back to like the financial part. Like you don't want to like spend something that you don't have, sort of thing. You know what I mean? And like some people, like they wanna pay like $100 per plate and stuff like that. But think about like what's gonna happen. Like at the end, I know like a friend of mine, she got married and her husband, they put everything on a credit card and they were paying for like a good 5 years. So I think you have to be wise, and like I know both like Jerry and Anna were saying that you need to pray and ask God for direction, but at the same time be wise and don't go crazy, because at the end of the day you're gonna be paying for it in like long term. So be very careful with that.
Okay. I think great answers. Yeah. So I think the point that I wanted to stress is what Sophie was saying. Some of you girls need to calm down with how much I want to spend on the wedding. But anyway, we're gonna go on and we're gonna continue. Um, somebody hung up when I said that. Okay.
Always, like like I said earlier, like some people are very fortunate. You graduate, you got that. From the get go, you got that $500,000 offer. You got that job. You get, and your husband. Your is if you can afford $100,000 wedding, hey, go for it. So like if you can afford a $200,000 wedding, but at the end of the day, people are still gonna talk about your wedding. Like something is always, you don't do things to please men. You do your wedding to please God and to please your husband and your wife. I know some women like, because men are very simple. Like I said, when I married Reggie, like he like, especially in the family, the man family, they sign a check and that's it. Girl, you're checking your wedding. It's always a woman I mean, I'm not saying for the most part. I'm not saying that a lot of family always see like the woman's family more involved, in the wedding, but the man family, they sign the check and you know what, go ahead. But just don't do things to please people. Because at the end of the day, they're always gonna find something that was not pleasing to them. Is it whether your dress or the food didn't taste that good? You pay $100 per plate for that food. It didn't taste that good. It's always something. The flowers wasn't right. The menu wasn't right. The letters, the capital letters. There's always something. Everything should have been in all caps, small letters. There's always something. So don't do anything. Do your wedding to please, first of all, you and your husband, and to please, most important, to please God. Do what you can. If you can afford $100,000 wedding, go for it. If you can afford it, but if it's a 5,000, hey. But at the end of the day, you living, you got married, you got right, you get married. You're not living in sin. So you do what you're supposed to do right before men, right before God. Don't worry about the rest.
Okay. So like I said, I'm gonna move on to the next question. But before I do so, I just want you guys to keep in mind the time is kind of seems to be winding down. So I love the way you guys are answering, but if you guys want to be a little more concise, just so we can kind of get through more, that would be helpful. I'm not sure if you guys have gotten any anonymous questions. I've already gotten one, and I think we still have at least one or two in the chat. And plus, I still have two more questions, and we have to get to mine no matter what.
Oh my God, Larry.
Okay. So, Rushama has a weird question. I don't know what this is. She might have to clarify. He says, "Is missionary dating a good thing?" I don't even know what that is. Okay, Jerry has.
Very. Me myself, I just had to look it up. That's why I was looking. I was shaking my head. I said, "Shama with the weird stuff."
Why?
What's the question?
Huh?
What's the question?
Is missionary dating
a good?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Wait,
something I came across recently.
Okay, Shama.
It's something I came across recently. I didn't even know that there was a term for it, but it's something I came across recently. But basically, what it is someone dating for the purpose, like a Christian dating a non-believer for the purpose of changing him into a believer.
Oh.
So, like, I didn't know there was a term for it, but I know recently learned that there was a term for it. But that's what it basically is.
All right. I'm gonna make it like Larry said, precise. Is it a good thing? No. Why? My cousin did that. She's a Christian, married a Muslim. Then guess what? It didn't end up well. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, I would say no too, because who knows whose faith is stronger? If you like a Christian, your faith is not as strong, and you marry somebody like instead of you influencing them, they could end up the one influencing you. So how strong is your faith that oh, I'm gonna marry a person and I'm gonna make him a Christian? You don't make nobody Christian. God does, So you don't want to take that chance, because instead of you failing, I would say no. So.
So I believe that's it for the questions in the chat. What was I gonna say? Does anybody? Okay, before we do that, we're gonna get to one of the anonymous question that I received. And the question was,
where's it from?
It's anonymous. Good try. How do you
The person's name. I won't tell nobody.
Okay, I'm gonna whisper it just to you. Everybody else, close your ears. Put your volumes down. The question is, how do you know when you love someone versus when you're in love with someone? And both of you guys are supposed
to. Ooh. Yeah, the switch stuff.
Go ahead, Anna.
Like Jerry said, there's always a difference between love and I'm in love. I mean, I don't know. I really hope I answer. I mean, like I said, I don't even know where to start. I mean, loving and love, I feel like you can tell when you love someone or in love with someone. I mean, to go to the in love aspect of it, I feel like when you're in love with someone, you just ready to overcome any obstacle, because when you love somebody, anything that's in the way, it's easier to give up, because the person, I mean, the person is in the process of getting a job, but it's so hard to get that job, that dream job, but because I'm in love with the person, I know that this financial part is a very important aspect of it's very important, but if he's in the process of getting that job, like, am I being patient? Am I in love with the person enough to wait for him, and not only to wait, but to help him out? Because love overcomes obstacles. Like, there's a lot of things in marriage or in a relationship that you need to be in love with the person, because if you're not in love with the person, it's easier to give up, or it's easier to let go of the relationship, because you're not looking anything. But once you're in love with the person, even if the person has something that you can't tolerate, we can work with the person, I would say, in a way, because you're so in love with them, and then because if you're not in love, anything pisses you off. I mean, I can love you, I can tolerate certain things, but any little thing piss you off. When you're not in love, like, anything can piss you off, and anything can make you give up that relationship. But when you're in love, certain thing I'm not gonna say. I'm thinking right now, but I don't want to say it. I really feel like when you're really in love with the person, it's nothing. I mean, so what? He So what like Jerry would say, is the physical part matter? Like, so what, he has an accent when he speaks, is the accent matter, or is the love that he's offering me is what matters? You're worrying about the accent so much, but he has so much more to offer. But because you're not in love with the person, anything with the way he speaks, instead of correcting him, helping him, to speak right, but oh my God, I can't believe I married someone. Oh, he or she has a strong accent. How did I put up with that? But instead of when you're in love with the person, instead of these things, the little things about it, instead of bothering you, you help the person become better in every way that you can. So
Okay. Jerry, do you have anything else you want to add?
I would say if you want to understand it, go to 1 Corinthians 13 and find the definition of how God talk about the true love. And if you understand that, then you understand that when you're in love, because it is more than, it's beyond just physical. If it's purely physical, it's about this thing, then you love that person, you love certain things about that person. When you're in love, it goes beyond just the physical. I'll just keep it simple like that.
Okay. Shama, you about to say something?
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm just making sure. So I just want to check, 'cause like I said, I got my questions. But did you guys receive any anonymous questions, or does anybody in the chat want to just speak out loud and type another question real quick?
I have a question.
All right, go ahead.
It says, is it an issue when your parents don't like your significant other or even your friends? What do I do? So that was that's one question that I got. Like I'm gonna read it again. Is it an issue when your parents don't like your significant other or even your friends? What do I do? I mean, to keep it simple, I mean, your friends, I mean, I wouldn't say I wouldn't really if my friends, your friends don't really matter, but your parents, they do matter. I mean, if you get married, you don't get your parents' blessing, that's an issue right there. You need your parents' blessing. While we may have some issues, why the parent doesn't, I think it's a conversation you need to have with your parents. I know it's hard to have conversations with your Haitian parents sometimes, but you really got to find a way to have a conversation with your parents. Why don't you like him? He's a good. I mean, if you present, I'm sure if you present good things, but sometimes if the parents saw that and the guy, like, he's not a good guy, whatever, he's getting bad reports. That could be an issue also. I feel you need to have that conversation with your parents. Why they don't like, but if they don't get your blessings, I mean, in my perspective and my opinion, I would say you do not get married with somebody who, with a guy, with someone, who your parents doesn't approve of, because it's very important to get your parents' blessing and also have a conversation with your parents of why they don't like that significant other. There could be reason that is doable, fair, but other reasons, like Haitian parents, they're not fair. Like I said, I'm Haitian too. Some reasons are not fair. My parents not okay. There's no parents here Haitian. It's like I said, go to your parent. Jerry, answer the question.
Oh, you going in? Honestly, personally for me, I think that's a key factor for me. If the parents, like Shanna said, first and foremost, what is the fact that your parents don't like that person, or is it that the things that we talked about, the parents look and then those things are not aligned? Because sometimes, and that's one of the things I didn't really talk about. It's like you may have your goals and your parents have their goals for you. So the thing about it, let's just say your parents' goal was the fact that for you to be a doctor, for example, like the Haitian parents, and then they look at it, you like 27, and you still, not going anywhere. You're still not going to school. You didn't even start your first year of college. So, and then you find a man. I don't think the parents is upset with the man. I think they really upset with you, but it's kind of like reverse psychology sort of thing. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying. Meaning that because they know you're not prepared. Because when you get married, you get in a family, they know the things you're gonna face is the reality of it. You're gonna realize, because often we say love, as long as I'm in love, that's it. But the reality, that's not true. That's not true. And I think a real serious conversation, sometimes it's really needed, because sometimes it's like the issue may not be with the person themselves, it's really with you that the parents have, but they just use a transfer of energy. Because because we've seen it a lot of time, our parents will say, oh, I don't like your friends, da 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 da. But the reality is that the friends is really me because of the things that I'm doing. They say they blame it on the friend, but really we know it's not the friend, but it's me because the things I'm doing now, it's not what they approved of. I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Like I said, we're gonna keep the ball rolling because we just got 2 new questions in the chat. Anna, just let me know, how many more questions did you receive?
I think that was it.
Okay, Jerry, did you receive any?
Nope, not one.
Wow, you guys are mean to Jerry. Show Jerry some love.
That's all right.
So, before we go to the next question, like I said, I'm gonna keep on peppering my stuff in there because I feel like my questions are the best anyway. You guys are gonna learn from them. So the next Larry Joe's question is, again, Jerry, I want you to be mindful that your wife is on the line and she's listening. What is the biggest pet peeve that you have from your partner or about your partner, and how do you deal with it?
Oh,
What was the question?
Watch it.
oh gosh, Larry.
What was the question?
The
All right.
the question was,
Repeat the question.
The question was,
I'm fearfully, perfectly, wonderfully made. I have no flaws.
what is the biggest
All right.
pet peeve that you have about your partner, and how do you deal with it?
Let me explain to you. That this is the thing. This is the reality. It goes back to what we were saying about loving and be understanding in a relationship. We know that nobody's perfect. One thing I learned is the fact that sometimes, even though it is our pet peeve, we can solve it because, example, I'm going to take an example. It's like if your issue is the fact that you don't like the way certain things look, we, instead of jumping into it and just making an argument issue, just go and fix it, and that just solve the whole problem. It's not easy. You're gonna feel like it takes out of you, but that's what we call work in marriage. Because a lot of time, if we allow our pet peeve to get the best of us, trust me, somebody will kill somebody. That's reality. But that's why you gotta know and understand this thing. Because that's why we say know yourself and be honest with one another. And if you see it, just say, you know what? Let me just fix it. You know what I mean? If it's like, sometimes I know like some wives say, oh, you didn't take the garbage out. Listen, just take it out. I know, we're gonna be like, oh, no, I don't do garbage. Listen.
I like the heat, but Jerry likes the AC, something like that.
Listen. Go ahead, Anna. Go ahead, Anna.
Wait. Anna, before you answer, I felt like Jerry did not answer my question. He gave me justification. So my question was, what's your biggest pet peeve, and how do you deal with it?
I'm giving him an example. I think like that's the biggest thing. Like even in the car, like Jerry would be like, it's so hot. But I'm cold. Like I turn on the heat like really, really high. You know what I mean? But then like to him, it's hot, but I'm cold. So whoever's driving, let me stop.
So how do you deal with that?
Depends if I can handle it. So then so now we have the seat warmers for me. I put the seat warmer on my side and I handle right. And I stay warm.
Okay, I'm more happy with that answer. Anna, do you want to go now?
I don't know. I think if Reggie was here, he would have answered this question because he has one. But one thing, oh my gosh. So I mean, for me, I think every single woman has the same issue, even if you're not married, like which is brothers at home. Like it's the bathroom. Like when the men use the toilet, they don't really put the seat down after using it. That kind of like pisses me off a little bit because especially sometimes when I wake up at night, I'd be sitting on the toilet. Oh, the seat wasn't down. It really makes me mad. But how do I go about it? I mean, I know in the beginning I'm like, okay, he's not gonna put that toilet seat down. 7 years later, 7 years later, he's not. So I just before. So what I do at night when I do wake up sometime at night to go to the bathroom, I just like don't turn on the lights. What I would do, I turn on the light first to see if it's up or down. If not, I would just I like to call my husband Gotet. That's my thing with him. I'm like, you need to put the toilet seat down. I'll Gotet, and then that's it. There's no need to make an argument there. If I have things that he doesn't like. He has things that I don't like. There's no need to make argument. We just make a. After 6 years, almost 7 years now, we just make a joke about it. And I say, I'll go to toilet. If we saw things like that. We just make a joke about it instead of making an argument.
Great answer. Okay, so we're gonna move on to a chat question. I think it was Jerlene that was next, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 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 She says, "Is marriage meant for everyone? Is it okay if you don't get married?"
Pastor always say it. Not everybody was meant to get married. Some people, they were called eunuch. It's just like, it was never really in the cards for them to get married. So not everybody, God intended for everybody to be married. No. I hope that is your question.
I don't even think to say anything more. Like I say, but knowing that the Bible said that it is a gift, to those who don't get married, it is a gift. Yes, you can stay single. If it's your call, that way you have more time on to spend to do God's work, stuff like that.
But in parentheses, doesn't mean you get a lot of boyfriends and you keep shagging and living with them. That's not what it means. That's not what it means.
Eunuchs mean there's nothing there. There's nothing, no relationship. That's why they call you eunuchs. There's no relationship going on.
And Jerry said, I don't have to get married. I can shag. No, sir. No, man.
You hear that? No side chicks.
Oh, man. I don't know why you guys have to add that part. But
hey, I got to clarify. Somebody got that pastor.
So we're going to go ahead and continue. Next question is Sister Melissa. She wants to know, what does it take spiritually and mentally to come to an agreement with your spouse on naming your child? What was your process if you had one? Both can answer.
Hannah, you go first.
I would take it personally naming my child. Yes, it was spiritually because like I said before I got married, I didn't want to have any children. I said I want to enjoy my marriage for 2 years and then that's it. But the day after I got married, the next day I wanted to have a child, and then it didn't happen until like 7 months later. And it was around that same time with my sister. You guys know my niece, my oldest niece, Tatu, she's like 20, but when she was 14 years old, her mom did everything. She didn't have any kids, she tried. She wasn't like trying not to get pregnant or anything, but she didn't get pregnant. But until 14 years later, she got pregnant again with her second child. And when when she was 4 months pregnant, she lost the baby. So it was around my time when I was trying to get pregnant. And my time, my sister, 14 years later, got pregnant and lost the baby. It was around that time, and and it was like, I had, we were crying. I was like, and I said, God, if you do give me a child, if it's a boy, and I love naming kids, my nieces and nephews and stuff like that. So I was looking for a name for my sister, and I came across that name. I just lost my nephew. So if you give me that child, and then this is his name, and I had a dream, and I was naming my child, Nathaniel. And then it wasn't really, when I explained that dream to Reggie, or was to say, okay, men always they're supposed to name their child, because when I had the dream, I explained it to him, and then after I think it was a couple months after I did get pregnant, and then Nathaniel was it. So it was yes, mentally and spiritually at the same time, and and we both came in. Although it was me that had the dream, but we both came into an agreement. This is and then yes, and then we both agreed to name him.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I say it's almost like, that's true, because for us, even in the process, of course, we had some other names we thought would be nice. I think for Jeremy, the name was it Larry? Remember, was what, Jalen or something like that? So it was a lot of different names.
I thought it was a girl.
But listen, but Jalen couldn't be both a guy or girl. It's like those unisex name, whatever. But the point is that as we begin to pray and stuff like that about it, and then God began to reveal to us, it was different, because even when God revealed to us, some people was not in agreement with it because they're like, Jeremy, I don't know, suffering and stuff. But then when they went in prayer, God revealed to them. So then they kind of like let it go and come in agreement, because what we realized is the fact that as we were going, God was not only revealing it to us, but other people that didn't even know what calling. Listen, I was dreaming, and then this is what God told me. And then the same people didn't even know. Both Jeremy, Isaiah, and they told me, I don't know, I was dreaming, and this is what I find out. And that was the both name that they said the same. I'm like, wow, okay, God, I got it. So it was both, prayer and the understanding. Also, of course, once you pray and you get it, sometimes it's hard. It's like, for example, like Josie, it's like, I didn't pick that name. We didn't pick it, but it's just like, as we begin to, and God reveal, and afterwards, and I got the message afterwards, and I was like, okay. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit of both, though. You know what I mean? And then we both come into understand and agree with it and stuff like that. So because when God revealed, sometimes whether we agree or not, but once God revealed, we kind of like make sure and confirm that it is of God, and then we just go with it.
Okay. So like I said, we're gonna keep on moving right along to get as many questions as possible because people keep writing. So y'all might be here for a while. It says, this is actually one of my questions too. So that knocks one of mine out of the boat. It says, how did you know, this is from Rebecca Joseph, how did you guys know that your significant other was the one? Both of you guys.
Woo! Well, girl, I hope you got all night, because that story spin for a long time. Anna, you first. Go ahead.
Let me go first. I answered the question.
All right. I think for me, believe it or not, it was like what happened. I remember it was like in January. I mean, how usually everybody make a prayer and whatever, the blah blah. So I made this prayer, but usually, like, I would be like, okay, this person, and I would say, God, is it? And then finally somebody say, why don't you just change your prayer around? Ask God first to give you, and then from there you move on. So when I went in prayer, and then I started praying God, I said, God, da 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 da. So when God revealed, listen, I spent a great month rebuking that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I said, in the name of Jesus, because it has to do with the relationship that we had, because we were friends and stuff like that. So at the time, I thought the enemy was trying to create some type of like issue amongst us and stuff like that. So
why you were scared?
So he was trying to like create that. So I would pray against it, and finally, after pray, and then it's funny. I was talking to Sophie's mom.
You have to say why you were scared. Scared of Selama. He said, Selama's daughter. Oh no, I'm scared of Selama.
Listen, but I was talking to your aunt. They just tell me the story about something. So what happened? And I said, okay, God, all right, I'm gonna I pray. I said, God, I'm gonna test you, like what's his name, Gideon did. I said, if really that's her, God, because remember, she never would call me late night. I said, if that's her, it was like 10, 11 o'clock at night. Make sure she call me right now. Honestly, I'm not lying to you. I finished praying, my phone ring, that was her. I'm like, nah, that's the devil. I don't agree. I said, okay, God, if this really her, I want us to match. Yo, we spent the next, it was like what, 6-7 months. Every single Sunday we walk in, we would match, wearing the same clothes. We'd literally look at each other, look at it. I say, I would wear the weirdest clothes, like a red shirt and a black pants. I'd say, I know she's not gonna wear that. Here she comes in, red and black. She looks at me, I look at her, I'm like, okay. I say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna wear black, white, gray. She's not gonna wear that. Here she comes, wearing the same. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Yo, I would not, I would still like not, finally I just say, okay, God, what is it? And after I pray, and I got the message, and I said, all right, let me just try. I said, let's see what she's gonna say. And I told her, all right, I used to you next. That was it. It's too long. I'm not gonna finish.
Okay. I'm just gonna be. You asked the question. I hope you were looking for honesty, because I'm just gonna be honest. It was always been my prayer ever since I was before I was even really spiritual, really into God. It was always me as a young girl. It had nothing to do with God. It was just me. I never wanted to do a lot of dating. That's me. That's, like I said, that's Anastacia. I always ask them, I want to meet the person whoever I meet, if it's the one, like, I never wanted to play in relationship. That's why I didn't want to start dating early and stuff like that, because the person that I'm going to meet, the guy's going to give me that person, I'm going to marry that person, that's it. I'm not going to have from one relationship to another. That was always my wish. And so like I said, I don't know if you guys all know, but I knew Reggie since we were in Haiti. But I wasn't really friends with him until we both came here. So it wasn't until after he came, I graduated college, and then and I met him right before I graduated college. And I said I never wanted to play relationship. I don't want relationships to play. Just let's go out to the movies, and the next day we break up. So that was one of my prayer. That was one of my wish. And then when I met Reggie, and then he had all the criteria. Like we were friends. Like I said, friends. Be friends with your partner. Friendship is very important. Like I was friends before we even started dating. We were friends for a long period of time. We're not a long period of time, but we're friends. We're good friends. Like we were able to share, things like before we even knew we could be in a relationship. And then that was a sign, because I saw things in him that very comprehensive. He really understands me. Like he respects my decisions. As young Christian, we're gonna be dating. This is what, if you can't deal with that, then I don't mind that. I'm okay with that. Then you can move on to the next girl, and maybe they'll, and then he understands, very comprehensive. And then while we were friends, not while we were dating, I noticed these things about him, and maybe he noticed things about me too, and then boom, here we are today. So that's how we knew he was the one, because first of all, because in the relationship, God really, like I said, I didn't want to keep dating, and then and when I did meet him again, and we became friends, and I see things in him, I saw things in him that I really like. I could see in a husband, and that was that.
Okay, good answer. Oh, we're gonna be here a while because the chat keeps on blowing up. um, Next is Melissa. Actually, Melissa had a turn, so I guess I'm gonna go with one of mine because forget you. Okay.
That's a lot of questions.
You guys see, right? And I still got mine. So and I replaced the one that Rebecca asked for another one of my own again. So we're gonna be here. My next question was what is the biggest thing you learned from the wedding process itself, like that you did not know coming in, like preparing for the wedding?
Go ahead, Anna. I went first.
Wait, what is it?
What is the biggest thing you learned from the wedding process? So, like, that you didn't know about weddings before going in. What is the biggest thing you learned from your wedding?
It's a lot of pressure. Like it's a lot of pressure. One thing, the biggest thing, my biggest, the thing I was really like, I really really first of all, when you get married, you don't know what wedding is until you start planning your wedding. You see people get married, you think it's easy just to like walk down the aisle and have a reception. It's not that easy. It's a lot of pressure. The biggest thing is that if pressure comes a lot, you get mad for every little thing. You get so anxious for nothing. You get worried for nothing. It's a lot of things that you do, like do requires, like, okay, maybe I should be worried about that. But a lot of things worry about you, you shouldn't be worried about that, But as you get married for the first time, you don't know until you start planning your wedding. You see, did I choose the right church? Did I choose the right venue? Did I choose the right a menu, the right meals, stuff like that. It's a lot of pressure. That was the biggest thing for me, pressure. First, you got people talking to you, like it's their wedding, like they're making now their wedding instead of your wedding. Like, wait a minute, this is my wedding. This is what I want. You know what I mean? Oh, you should do this, but instead you should do that instead. I'm like, oh, okay. So I kind of like listen to people's opinion. That was like one of the things too. Do your wedding how you and your partner want it. Because once you start listening to every person telling you to do this and that, you're gonna get more frustrated because at the end of the day, it's not gonna be your wedding. It's gonna be like a Jean's wedding. It's gonna be a Mary's wedding, not your wedding. So listen, like just go sit down with your partner, what you want, with your family, of course, involved. And the pressure was, pressure. Pressure is big. Jerry.
I would say one of the things I learned going into marriage is the fact that God is in every little details. That's what I learned. You'll be surprised some of the things that you think that God don't care about, but is in every little fine little details. That's what I find out.
Okay. We're gonna move on to the next question, Melissa. Now, how long should you wait as being engaged before the wedding? Is there a specific time? What do you think about those who are engaged for years?
Um, we don't want to say there's a specific time, but you should not get engaged if you're not gonna try to get married. Because the problem, what happens is that, okay, let me finish. I don't think you should get engaged for like years. I think like you should plan yourself within at least a year plan, what I'm saying? Maybe a year, maybe a little bit over a year, depends on your planning process, financially, whatnot. But that's why we always say you want to make sure that those things are already planned out, part of your goals. You say, hey, if I know I want to get married in 5 years, and I say, okay, boom, can I save at least $5,000 or $3,000 a year? So what I'm saying, get yourself on the ball rolling. So when it's that time, so you already on the mark and you see where you're going. That's why when I see people, they say, I want to get married, but then you turn around, they're wasting money like crazy. I'm like, so you just want to wait for the guy to just go, he's $20,000. I got it, girl. Listen, that's not realistic, because everybody gonna have their own burden, their own issues financially. That's why I say be diligent with how you spend your money. And do I think it's a good idea for people to be engaged for years? I don't think so, because what happened, I've seen it happen so many times that people get caught up in the I'm engaged as if they're married, and they get involved in things that they ought not to. And then what happens is that they bring a lot of things into the marriage that they didn't want to, which creates a lot of things. And honestly, it's not a good idea, because people they think like that engagement ring is a wedding ring, so it's not a good thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Anna.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think Jerry answered the question well, but one thing I want to add is that you don't you. I mean, the whole point of an engagement is to plan a wedding. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying you get engaged today, you get married tomorrow. The whole point is to engage of an engagement is to plan your wedding, because you don't want to wait like 5 years to plan a wedding. I mean, come on. I mean, you getting married for the first time, you want to have the wedding of your dreams, but I don't think it's gonna take 5 years to plan a wedding. Like Jerry said, you don't want to take too long, and then you start falling into doing things that you're not supposed to do. So.
Okay. Next question, I believe, is Shama. It's how important is counseling during your marriage?
Very important.
Yeah. I mean,
The reason why I said that, it's always good, I always tell people that, to have a couple, a man and woman of God that you both can trust, that be honest, but that's not gonna mislead you guys. And to have that, to be able to minister unto and pour into your marriage, because listen, when you get married, trust me, you don't know everything. And that's the reality. A lot of time we walk around and I know, I've watched Hollywood sell us a bunch of like nonsense, and we think that's the same thing we're gonna bring to our marriage, and we realize, hey, in the marriage they did this, and the person has a different reaction. You're not supposed to act like that. This is not a movie. This is reality. You know what I'm saying? So having that, it's really good, because a counselor, like somebody like a spiritual father or counselor, whatever, some people call it different by different titles and stuff. It's somebody that can call you out. If the husband, you do something that's wrong, you're gonna say, hey, what you did was wrong. You might be upset. You might be like, oh, how you gonna talk to me like that? Yeah, you wrong your wife. So you see, and that's what we need, because when you have people that agree with every mess you make, that's not counseling. That's your boys or your home girl. And these are the ones that usually separate you from your husband, because they're trying to say, oh, that person did this. Listen, you shouldn't have done that. That's fact. And it's very important if you can find, because trust me, nowadays it's not really easy to find some good ones, but if you can find it, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important. Like Jerry said, it's very, very important. But it has to be godly people, godly men, godly women, or even a couple, that do these things. Like my personal testimony is that I know you guys know the African pastor that came and do the conference with you guys for courtship, I think it was. So I mean, he, from the moment like he was there, he knew when I started dating Reggie. And from the moment he found I was engaged, he counseled me from the day that he found I was engaged to the day the night before I got married. And you should see, like, to be honest with you, that's why I say you have to find a godly man. You should see that the conversation you had with me in the beginning of the counseling to the end. I was like, wait, I don't know that side of you. I remember we used to go to his church, and I couldn't even sit close to Reggie. Like, oh, you guys are sitting too close to each other. Like, what is this? You can't like certain things that people who's gonna like really help you out. And the night I got married, that man called me. The things he was telling me, I'm like, is that really appropriate? Like,
I don't know, Pastor. I don't know.
I was like, I don't know, is that really appropriate? It was like, this is godly. And then he takes me to the book of Psalms. Like, it's really amazing. It has to be somebody you know who's not gonna lead you astray, who's not gonna like give you. It really has to be a godly person. But it's really very encouraged. It's really encouraged. And I really thank him for that. Like, he really gave me a lot of advice, a lot of things. It's important. So I know a lot of Haitians don't believe in counseling. Yes, yeah, but as long as a godly person, I feel like yes, you can do it.
Okay, moving right along. Next question is Melissa again. What is it like to meet your partner's parents for the first time? What are some common first impressions that you may have on them or that they may have on you?
Well, I never really asked that questions because, you know, that's the thing with us. We've been, I know Anna probably said the same thing. We've been friends for so long. But if you talk about after we start dating, when my wife, I mean, at the time, you know, and she just tell her parents, and then the parents say, oh, Jill put me par la veine. Oh, Jesus. Larry, remember that day?
Yeah.
It was Larry's high school graduation. I remember like it was yesterday. We were just there, and then we said, okay, after we just like there taking pictures, and afterwards we got there. Here I am, I'm sitting in that one single chair by myself, and they're sitting across from me, like and stuff like that. And she don't even want to sit next to me. She's sitting right there. She just looking like this. Nothing is matter. And then here I'm sitting there, man. And you know, I sweat, by the way. I was there. I remember I had a red Adidas shirt. I still remember. I was sweating like this. I'm like this. And you know, they say, okay, Jay, you know, Palavin. I'm like, what do you want me to say? You know, it was like, oh my God. But, you know, but the reality and the truth of the matter, my impression is the fact that I always look at the relationship, not to say that, oh, they got the best relationship, but I always love the relationship and how they always work towards each other and they work as a team. And I love that about it. And I think that was one of the things I love. And I say, you know what? If me and my wife were able to model these things, and you know what I'm saying, like I said, and then to have that many years of marriage to follow up, that's a very good thing, good example. So I think for me, that was a good thing. But it was really scary, though. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I thought I was, yo, honestly, I wasn't sure I'm in church. I said that. I wasn't come back to church.
I feel like it's scary even if you do know the person, because I don't know, like, I mean, from my experience, Jerry just spoke from his experience, but from my experience, if Reggie was here, because if you guys don't know, Reggie's a very shy person. I mean, although we both of our parents knew each other, we were both from the same place, we were from the same church, but it wasn't nothing like asking for my daughter, you know, it's different. You know, like, I know I remember that day very clearly. It was a snowy day. He came, Reggie couldn't even eat because he came with his dad. So we were at the table, he was eating, he was like, he couldn't even eat. I'm like, are you hungry, Daddy? Like, we know, like I said, we both know each other's parents for so long, but like, it's just a different case when you're asking for somebody's daughter, you know, like, or somebody's son. It's really hard. It's a lot of pressure there. And who was getting out? Like, he almost fell.
No, listen, guys.
He was so scared. Like, he was really scared because, like, yeah, I know, like, we know each other, but now I'm asking for your daughter. You know, I want to date your daughter. It's something different. You know, it's a lot of pressure, guys. So, for young men out there, you know, for these young ladies, you know, get ready, because you know this conversation is never that, you know, it's an easy one. If you're really serious in the relationship, it's never very that easy. No matter how well you know the person.
For me, the thing is that they were asking questions. I was like, huh? We don't answer that now? I'm like, yo, they were going in. It wasn't just like, oh, how you doing? It was a question. What's your plan? What's my plan? I'm going to school now. So you plan on marrying her? But guys, it's really serious. But it was an interesting experience. I'll tell you that.
Okay. So I'm hearing that we might have to end things soon. Are you guys okay with doing a part 2 at some other point in time?
Yeah, we have to do part 2.
Anna, are you down?
I'm sorry, what was it?
Yeah, we might have to end soon, just because of time. My
Okay.
question was,
Yeah.
are you guys okay with doing a part 2 at some point in time?
I mean, if that's okay for everybody else, I mean, it would be like, I guess, more questions, you know.
Yeah, like it wouldn't really, it would just be a continuation.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Everybody just remember, write your questions. If your question wasn't answered, you know, just write them down.
And if you have anything else,
what I was gonna say, how do you guys feel about Thursday? If Thursday is good for you guys, you think that's a good day or no?
You're breaking. I can't hear you.
I said, what do you guys think about Thursday? Can you guys hear me?
that's okay for me.
Okay. For those of you in the chat, if Thursday is good for you, like Thursday evening, put yes. Just so we have an idea.
That's good for you, Anna? Thursday?
Yeah, that's good.
I see one person say yes. Is Thursday good for everybody else? Okay, I'm seeing a lot more yeses now.
Larry, you gotta remember these questions. I'm looking there. I have some good questions. I want to ask Sophia.
Yeah, that's why I said whoever asks those questions, write them down, because once the chat ended, your questions are gonna be lost.
Yeah,
so it's better if you write them down.
So what I'm doing is I'm screenshotting. I don't know if I got all of them, but I'm screenshotting like a madman.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay.
Yeah. So okay. So we'll work out the details in terms of time and whatnot, but we'll continue Thursday. But I'm glad to know that Thursday works for so many of y'all, because that means that I should start seeing y'all at Thursday for prayer as well. But obviously, I ain't busy on Thursday. So, like I said, I screenshotted some of the questions. Just in case I didn't get yours, please make sure to write it down. If you can think of any more questions between today and Thursday, please do so as well. Thursday is going to be just for questions. We're going to find a way to incorporate prayer as well. Like I said, we're going to work out the fine details and kind of get back to you guys and let you know. So yeah, before I end, is there any questions about anything just in general that needs to be answered? Going once, going twice, and no. Okay. Housekeeping stuff once more. Don't forget. Jerlene says, "Wait, what? What did you just get back, Jerlene? You don't know what's going on? You good?" My question was, is everything like in general? Is everything that we talked about? Is everything clear? Like before we end? Okay, Jerlene says yes. So housekeeping again. We're gonna try to like post some polls about the times in general for when we meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays to see if those times work for you guys. And don't forget the virtual choir. You know, Monday is almost here. You're acting like a whole bunch of procrastinators. You know, just school ended for you college kids. Don't mean that. Yeah, don't got to do your work early. Like I said, there's gonna be some work, so make sure you look over the video, you look over the PDF that's in there, put your Bible verses in the doc, and start practicing singing along with your specific track. There's a soprano track, there's an alto, there's a tenor. Pick your voice and start practicing so that we can make this lit video. Before I end, is there anything else that I'm forgetting that I need to say, Jerry or Anna or Sophie?
No, at this point, I think everything's good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, everything is good. I want to thank everybody for participating.
Sophie, anything else you want
to add? Same thing. I think it was really good. You guys asked a lot of great questions.
Yeah. So like everyone's saying, thank you guys for participating. This is not possible without you guys, you know, showing up and asking these questions. I think it's good for us as Christians to have the discussion with one another, as opposed to we always watching the real and this and that, getting these perspectives about relationships and marriage and whatnot. but all those perspectives aren't always godly. And I think it's good to conversate with men and women of God who are in marriage, who are living these things and getting their perspective. So without further ado, I'm gonna pray out for us. So please bow your heads in prayer. God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, we come before you and we thank you for this day, oh God. We thank you for this conversation. We thank you for this month of family. Thank you, God, for things that what were shared in this place. Oh God, thank you for your word says that iron sharpens iron, and we believe that we were sharpened by your servants today, oh God. Thank you for the ways that, oh God, that we have learned so much, the counsel and the advice that we have received. Oh Lord, we understand that marriage and relationships are important to you. Lord, continue to instruct us, oh God, based off of your word, through the lens, oh God, of who you are, how we're supposed to live, oh God, and how we're supposed to glorify you in these things. Be exalted. As we depart for tonight, I pray that the things that we learned, oh God, would not only go in one ear and out the other, oh God, but that they would be planted deep within our hearts, oh God. That as we get into our relationships, oh God, we keep these things in our minds, oh God, and we would try to honor you, oh God, and our very best to exalt you, God, in our relationships and our marriage. Oh Lord, be with us as we go to sleep tonight, oh God. Continue to bless the youth, every single member that was here, oh God, that had someone who had to go, oh God, those who weren't present at all, God. Continue to be with us, oh God, that we might draw near unto you. Lord, we pray these things in your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Good one, Dr.
And
Jackson.